Hey everybody, I'm Ben Yee.
I'm Elissa Stein.
And
we have so much to talk about today because primaries are coming up this Thursday, September 13th. Vote. You need to vote. This is really important.
It is super important.
We've been talking about this since we started this little show. Voting. Vote, vote, vote. Find out where your polling place is.
Yes.
You're open from 6 in the morning to like 9 at night.
Correct.
And so you need to go. This is really important. Primaries matter. There are such interesting races happening right now with viable, powerful, interesting, capable, and not so capable, and not so great candidates. So this is when we determine who's going to be on the ballot in November. So whoever wins,
and in some cases, who's going to win that election
and who's going to win,
November.
because New York is such a Democratic-leaning state. The person who wins the primary is most likely, hopefully, going to be the person who wins in November against their Republican challenger. So we decide now who is going to the ballot. It matters. Primaries matter. Go vote. So right now we want to talk about some of the interesting races that are going on in the primaries.
Super
starting with,
what do we want to, governor?
Let's start with governor.
All right, governor. There's there's a lot of candidates for governor, but not in the primary.
Okay,
there's
in the
two
primary.
candidates in the Democratic primary.
And they are
Andrew Cuomo and Cynthia Nixon.
Right. One with a lot of experience, and one with a lot of experience in other things than politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of experience doing bad things.
Cynthia Nixon?
No.
All right. We're talking about Andrew Cuomo and that. One of us feels very strongly. The other one feels pretty strongly too. Cynthia Nixon came into this fight, and I am grateful to her because she made conversation start. She sort of was like that magnifying glass on Andrew Cuomo and the things that he hasn't done or the things he did do and he shouldn't have done that have gone unchecked for a long time. But having a person in the ring is forcing him to discuss things, to confront things, like the IDC ending, but at least there's been movement on some things. She doesn't have experience in politics. I've heard her kind of change her mind a little bit about some things. She's not necessarily strong on all areas, but she's making conversation happen.
Yes.
Now, I wondered about voting for her because she really has so little experience versus somebody who's been our governor for a long time, and still I'm compelled to vote for her because of all the missteps that Cuomo has made. But you know this far better, so go.
Yeah, I could talk for half an hour about all the things I don't like about Andrew Cuomo.
But you can talk for 3 minutes.
So I won't.
2 minutes, actually, because we have to talk about Attorney General.
But what I will say is that whenever I talk about Andrew Cuomo, his supporters always say, but he's the most successful progressive governor in the United States, passing paid family leave, $15 minimum wage, strictest gun control in the country. Yes, of course. I agree. He did all of those things. The problem with Andrew Cuomo is he's a completely corrosive force on New York State politics. He does things with the government that simply shouldn't be allowed. Aside from the simple idea that his administration isn't the cleanest. For example, his closest right-hand man is now in jail for corruption after a lobbyist tied to the Cuomo administration went to jail and then flipped on that guy. Aside from that,
messy.
Which is messy, there are also things like the Moreland Commission, which Andrew Cuomo set up to investigate corruption in Albany, and then when it started to investigate him, he shut it down. People don't remember this, but this happened. And Preet Bharara took that.
Of him.
Preet Bharara, who now we don't talk about as much, but was a big deal, saw that and went after Shelley Silver, who's in jail, and I forget his name now, but the former Republican leader of the Senate, who's also in jail, and started investigating Andrew Cuomo as well, but luckily for Cuomo, was taken out by Trump, removed as federal prosecutor.
You're not alluding to perhaps there's some collusion
No, I don't think there's collusion there.
Because, man, did that sound like that was a setup for something.
Now, let's just look at one other major thing, which is...
Did you say IDC?
No. Oh. I'm not even going to talk about the IDC.
Independent Democratic Conference.
People think, Andrew Cuomo supports the Republicans, whatever. I want to talk about redistricting. Okay. Andrew Cuomo came into office running on the idea that we'd have independent redistricting in this state. It was one of the major reasons that the good government groups supported him. Instead, what we got was an amendment to the Constitution which wrote in partisan redistricting. And he tried to sell it as independent redistricting, but the courts made the Board of Elections change the language on the ballot because independent redistricting
Right.
was a mislabeling of what that amendment did, and it would be confusing to voters.
Right.
So now, in the Constitution, which can't be changed by regular law, we have partisan redistricting.
Damn. All right, so I'm going to throw in there Independent Democratic Conference quickly. Because of Andrew Cuomo's leadership for the past 7 years, this group of rogue Democrats who caucus with Republicans stymied anything from happening in Albany. So even if he says, "Oh, I'm such a progressive candidate or governor," he may be so in theory and in speech, but all that progressive legislation, or most of it anyway, didn't go anywhere because the Republicans never let it come out of committee. And he enabled this. As a strong Democratic leader, he should have gone in from the beginning and broke this up and said Democrats need to work with Democrats to get stuff through, and he didn't. He played the sides against each other. In this way, he kind of got to control both the Republicans and the Democrats, and that's just abhorrent. This is New York State. Women deserve equal health care if Roe versus Wade is struck down in the Supreme Court. Like, there's so many things that should have happened and didn't because he let this.
Yes,
He just like kind of casually let
It
this
wasn't.
continue.
I actually want to talk about the evidence for that because people will say that's conspiracy theory or there's no evidence of that. The thing to look at there is the way the New York State Democratic Party has functioned, and we're going to talk about Mailergate in a separate piece, but it's emblematic.
We made up Mailergate, by the way.
It's right. It's this. We won't get into it, but
Right.
it's emblematic of how the state party functions. Basically, controlled by the governor. Now, the governor has 30 times the money of the state party. If the state party recently released a very, very controversial mailer supporting the governor and being an attack dog for him against his primary opponent.
Cynthia Nixon.
Now, we don't have to focus on that, but the point is the state party doesn't really operate independently of the governor, and we know this. You can look at all of the things that it's done and you can tie that line. And if that's the case, why isn't the state party, why hasn't it actually been for the last 8 years been attacking the IDC and the Republicans? If that's what it's in theory supposed to do, why isn't it doing that?
Right.
Only because it's being reined in by somebody, and the person in charge of the Democratic Party here right now is Andrew Cuomo.
All right, so we're going to do another little video to talk about
The other candidates?
the other,
and
turn about Attorney General, which is another really interesting race. So we're going to wrap this up, but stay tuned because we're talking about a lot more stuff today.
Yeah,
See ya.
later. Hey, if you like what you're seeing here, don't forget to share, like, and comment on these videos.
The more people that hear what we have to say, perhaps the more they'll get involved. So thank you so much from us to you and all our new followers.
Thanks for watching.